Now! Get up out your seats!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time in the great state of Texas, the home of IHWE Professional Wrestling, and here on the sunny coast of California, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, and you are listening to IHWE Professional Wrestling Radio. I am your host, Michael McCurdy, the creator and author of the upcoming Encyclopedia WCCW, releasing in 2015. And joining me, as always, right here in the Redwood Curtain, is my co-host, Joe Souza. Joe, how you doing tonight?
I am doing wonderful, my friend. How are you?
I am doing great, and we are on the road here in the month of September to Old School Hustle. And on that note, I am going to hand over the mic to the founder of IHWE Professional Wrestling, my boss, the man we all know and love, Mr. David Fuller, who has a very special guest for us tonight.
Hey, guys, thank you for having me on. Everybody, thank you for listening to another great night of IHWE Radio. I am set to bring on as of this past Saturday at Showdown, and the man you'll be seeing in the next few weeks on IHWE TV, new episode premiering tonight at 10 p.m. He is going to challenge for the DFW Championship on Sunday night, September 28th. He is a WWE alumni, Ring of Honor alumni, All-American from Seton Hall University, Charlie Haas, and I'm going to call Charlie right now. He's at a soccer game for one of his kids, but he said he would join us, so bear with me. We're calling Charlie Haas right now to get him on the line, so please bear with me, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey, Charlie, this is David with IHWE. What's up, man?
Hey, David, how are you?
I'm doing all right. You're on IHWE Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, he's been everywhere. He's done everything. He's one of the best ever laced up prepared boots. Charlie Haas, welcome to the show, buddy.
Oh, man, I'm glad to be on. What's going on, IHWE, baby?
Charlie, we've got some other people on the line. I want to introduce you to our hosts, Michael McCurdy and Joe Sousa out of California.
Okay, what's going on, guys? I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. Looking forward to this interview.
Good.
Oh, heck yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here we go. We're going to get this started. Charlie, this past Saturday night, you made your IHWE debut. You were part of Showdown, which was a wild, crazy night. And at the end of the evening, before the main event, I told everybody that you were the number one contender for the DFW Championship because you have wrestled on all the big stages, and it's a big deal that you're down here in North Texas, and you've been doing your part to help Texas wrestling get back to where it once was, and you're going to challenge Americos. You watched that triple threat match, 2 out of 3 falls, that ended up going to sudden death. What's your mindset going into Old School Hustle against Americos?
Man, well, I mean, one thing is I'm going to have to go back to my original, ground and pound. I'm going to have to keep him from flying. I mean, I'm not a high-fly specialist, but I've been around some of the greats like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero and Chavo and, Billy Kidman, Paul London, Spanky. So, I mean, I'm pretty confident, I can ground him. As long as I ground him, I think I got a great game plan in keeping him under my thumb and be able to take that title.
What's it mean to you? You're such a traditionalist. You're one of the only few still around. You're such a traditionalist. What does it mean to you to be a part of a show called Old School Hustle with a guy like Jim Cornette, who you've told me is a mentor, a guy like Stan Hansen, a guy like grappler Lynn Denton, that are all going to be there that night? What does it mean to you being a traditionalist as you are?
No, I think it's great. Like I said, man, I mean, Jim Cornette, has done nothing but helped my career, whether it was at OVW, Ring of Honor. I mean, he's just, just to have him there, kind of like a swan song, who I started with him, with the WWE and, kind of, finish it up towards the end. It'd be great, just to have him there. And I've never even met Stan Hansen, but I'm a huge fan, and be able to wrestle in front of him. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I'm excited, and all the other greats, that have paved the way or, paved that road for me to follow, So it's it's also, you know, paying homage to them, but also, you know, being part of the show and being able to, you know, say, hey, I was on a card or, you know, on the show with Jim Cornette or a Stan Hansen. I mean, it's just another feather in my cap.
Definitely. Michael, you know Charlie was going to be on here for a few days. Did you have any questions for Charlie?
First question I actually had. We know you are coming to Old School Hustle in September to challenge Americos, as we have stated. Also, your WWE career, you were one half of, in my opinion, one of the best tag teams of that time. The world's greatest tag team was Shelton Benjamin. What is one of the major highlights of your career so far?
You at WWE with Shelton or by myself, or just in wrestling, period?
Which one? With Shelton Benjamin.
I think I would say, well, I mean, winning at WrestleMania 19, you know, debuting as Team Angle, you know, winning our first world championships against the Guerreros. I mean, it's just those are probably the three of the things that, you know, just I'll always cherish and remember. You know, I mean, Shelton actually just left my house today. I mean, it's such probably just the friendship, you know, and the brotherhood that came out of that tag team. Like, we're still best friends. My kids call him Uncle Shelton. I mean, it was just you know, it was like just a really good friendship, like a brotherhood, you know. So, I mean, I'm probably more grateful for that than anything. But, you know, that's probably one of the highlights, that call him a friend, a brother, you know.
That's awesome. Joe, did you have any questions for Charlie?
Yes, indeed. Charlie, first I want to say it's a pleasure to talk to you. I've followed your career. Very, very good wrestler. You saw the WrestleMania match where you and Sheldon beat the Guerreros. Just, you know, really good stuff. My question may go back a little further than that. You wrestled with Heartland Wrestling, and that's Mr. Les Thatcher. What was it like working for Les Thatcher, and maybe him being a mentor? Because not only is he a promoter, he's a trainer, a mentor. What was it like being around him?
Man, working with Les. It was really good. I mean, I look at it this way. I was very fortunate in the developmental system, the WWE at the time, to be trained underneath him, to also, you know, train in Memphis and then in Louisville as well. So I had different teachers of different eras, of different styles, you know, people that actually worked the territories back, you know, that helped pave the way, I would say. And, you know, Les Thatcher is one of the, you know, he's a legend. He, you know, he paved the way for a lot of people. He put out a lot of great students, and I mean, just to learn how to work old school. I think he really helped me on how to really put my psychology in the right place. You know, as I was moving up, you know, in the ranks of the developmental system. I mean, like I said, I have nothing but great things to say about him. I really enjoyed my time there.
And actually, after you left the developmental system, OVW, you went straight to SmackDown and made an awesome debut.
I actually went to Louisville right after that with Cornette, and I was at OVW for a while. Then I debuted at SmackDown.
Yeah, 2004, and you actually, it was on your own SmackDown, and during that time, SmackDown was on fire. I think that was the best years for SmackDown as a wrestling show. But were you focused on getting on Raw, or did you like your spot that you had with Team Angle at the time on SmackDown?
I looked at it this way. I enjoyed the time at SmackDown. I think, you know, we had Team Angle, the faction over there, and then you had Evolution over on Raw. You couldn't have them both on the same show. So I thought SmackDown was a dominant show. I think Kurt, Shelton, and I were more of a dominant faction. We just didn't last as long, or they broke us up a lot sooner than we expected. But, I mean, I was just glad, you know, to debut and to be able to showcase, like, our tag team and, you know, to be part of, you know, to be brought in with Kurt. I mean, we were gung-ho, man. We did whatever it took to make it work.
Brian, did you have a question for Charlie?
Yes, I do. Real honor to meet you. I was there in person at WrestleMania 19. I was in the bleachers with my best friend watching that match. But also, coming up in a few months, and I can't believe it'll be 13 years, but since the death of your brother Russ. And can you expound on some of your memories of your brother? And I was wondering, what kind of a legacy do you think your brother had as far as now and what he had back then?
Man, that's a tough question. I think the type of legacy that he had. Okay, like, all right, well, let's go back. When Russ and I started tag teaming, we were out in New Jersey, and we were on the Independents for about 4.5, 5 years. Now, the Independents were red hot because at the time it was like from '96 to 2000. So you had Monday Night Wars, you had ECW going nuts. So we were wrestling for a company that just gave us our break because it was so hard to get in on the indies there, and that was Jersey All Pro Wrestling, JAP. I broke in with guys like Low-Key or, Sensi or whatever they call them, Homicide, the Hit Squad. I mean, a lot of guys that went on to have successful careers at International or, with TNA or WWE. But at the time, there was a big war going on between Jersey All Pro and CZW. And I think what we did is we kind of reinvented tag team, or we did moves that people really didn't see yet. That, I mean, and I'm just saying we maybe have been the foundation for that type of tag team wrestling. I mean, what the Young Bucks do, or what, who can I say? The Young Bucks, or what, Kyle O'Reilly and his partner did, Red Dragon. Yeah. The Briscoes, we broke the Briscoes in. I mean, my brother and I broke the Briscoes in and started them off. I think we were the foundation, and they just took it to the next level. And the stuff they did, I mean, they're a little bit smaller, but the guys are great athletes, I just think that that was the type of legacy we left. We raised the bar for tag team wrestling on the independents, and I think a lot of it, trickled over with the Briscoes and through the Hit Squad, and it trickled on down, because at the time we were the only tag team to hold the tag titles in Jersey All Pro and CZW at the same time. And that was a huge war, but we were so good they kept bringing us back and forth. I mean, Team Angle was meant for my brother and I, and then they were going to bring Shelton in. It was going to be a faction of 4. And then Russ passed away, and they just put it with Shelton and I, So, I mean, Russ was my size, but the guy, he was a gymnast his whole life, so he's doing standing backflips, flipping. I mean, Shelton's an athletic as hell, but Russ has had the gymnast twist to it. It was sick, the stuff he would do. It's just a shame he wasn't around because, I think as a singles wrestler, he could have gone off to be one of the greatest. I mean, he was just so damn athletic for his size. It was just unbelievable.
You're down here in Texas now, Charlie, and you've been down here for a few years. You could be on the road every weekend. You could be in Japan. You're a family man now. Your kids, your wife is your life, which is the way it should be. And now you have been spending the last few years trying to make Texas as represented as it once was. I think that speaks a lot to your character. Of course, you're born in Oklahoma, and now you're down here. You've made known you're happy to be here in Texas. You've down here, and you've been all over the state. You wrestle for a lot of the independent promotions here.
Right.
I mean, what is it? I mean, what is it about down here in Texas? It's going to the shows, it's meeting the fans. You take time to talk to everybody. You don't big time anybody. I mean, there's a lot of guys that had a cup of coffee with WWE or TNA that didn't do anything like what you did, and they come off big time. They're too big time for indie promoters. They're too big time for indie fans. And you're the complete opposite. And it's a pleasure for somebody like me to deal with somebody like you, because it's not always like that. From your standpoint, what does it mean to you to put in the time that you're doing to help these Texas promotions?
Man, well, I mean, I just love the sport, and I love what it's given to me. And so if I can give back to wrestling, that's my goal, man. That's what I want to do is, and I'll tell you what, man, I mean, Texas is an untapped, area down here. There are tons of good talent, and it's just not that it's good, but they got the look. I mean, these guys work their asses off in the gym. These guys are, they look the part. They look like they could be on TV. They just need a break. And if I can help get in the ring with them and give them some of my knowledge of what was passed down through me from Arnie Anderson and Jerry Briscoe, if I can just get that and give back, that's satisfaction enough. I mean, I just, I've been very fortunate. I mean, I got a great family, a great wife. I got a really good job. So, and I'm not one of these guys that I need the money, or I'm gonna, I'm going to gouge every promoter there is and try to close them down or take it. I mean, I just want to see wrestling succeed. And Texas was so instrumental in me growing up watching world-class championship wrestling. It's just a shame that it's not thriving like it should be like it is on the East Coast, out in California. I mean, Dallas should be just bumping, man. It was one of the hottest territories ever. And like I said, Texas, there's so much untapped talent here. I mean, if I can get back and help pass on the knowledge and let it flourish and grow, I mean, that's satisfaction enough, man. That's cool with me.
That's awesome. Well, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to run down the list one more time. Everybody can ask Charlie one last question, and we're going to let him go because he's at his son's soccer game. So Charlie can give us just a couple more minutes. We'll wrap this up. Michael, go right ahead.
Yeah, Charlie, you just mentioned world-class championship wrestling. I'm actually working on an encyclopedia of world-class championship wrestling. Huge fan of the territory, and I'm looking forward to coming to Fort Worth in September just to actually be in the same area that some of the greats of Texas were in. Who were some of the wrestlers in world-class territory that, you enjoyed and kind of tried to model some of your career after?
I think I was a big fan of the Dynamic Duo. Huge fan of Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez. Big fan. Loved the Von Erichs. Freebirds. I mean, it was just unbelievable. It was so believable. It was great. I just, Skandar, Akbar, and then I loved that the way they did cross promotion with Smoky Mountain, or not Smoky Mountain, but Mid-South, and they'd bring in whether the Guerreros or the Fantastics or, the Rock and Roll and the Midnight or, it was such a great time to be a
fan. Joe, what about you, buddy?
Oh, yes. Me, I always like going towards the history part of it, and I'm really happy, Charlie, that, all the information and all the wisdom that you've achieved over the past years that you're instilling onto the talent now. Now, my question is, you worked for Jim Cornette. How was it being around Mr. James E. Cornette?
I think it was great. I mean, for him to pass on, him being a manager of one of the greatest heel tag teams of all time, and to be able to pass it on to Shelton and I mean, dude, it was just an honor, and I mean, he resurrected our careers, going into Ring of Honor. He resurrected our careers, putting Team Angle together. I mean, I was just so blessed. I mean, here I am, a guy I grew up watching, either loving or hating because of the way the program was worked for him, but then being able to work with him, I was like, it was kind of starstruck. It was like a dream come true.
Hey, Austin, what about you, bud?
Yeah, growing up, and you did some amateur wrestling throughout high school, and then you wanted to be a professional wrestler. Did you think that gave you an advantage over some of the other guys that were in the ring with you, or did you notice a difference?
I was able to take it. I mean, amateur wrestling was my love, so I took it from getting a Division I scholarship to going out to Seton Hall, becoming an All-American, where I think I had a big advantage. I think I was very athletic. I was able to adapt. My body was so calloused and, from being beat up by amateur wrestling, I was able to take the beating and learning the professional style. So I was able to come back quicker. Plus with amateur wrestling, it's such a hard sport. It's like the Marines of all college athletics, or all athletics. I say it's a one-on-one. If you mess up, it's on you. So I just took that same mentality, and it's repetition after repetition, practice after practice, shot after shot, and I applied that to pro wrestling to be able to achieve my dreams. So,
Brian, wrap it up for us. You got the last question. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I've wanted to, while you were growing up as a fan, the IWA World Heavyweight Championship, that was the title of titles. That was everything that every pro wrestler wanted to be. If you weren't going to go after that, you shouldn't be in the business at all. That was everything. What are your thoughts as far as championships now? And did you have any desire to be a world heavyweight champion at all?
I think it's everyone. I think it's everybody's dream, to be a world heavyweight champion. I think I made my mark as a tag team. We've gone down as one of the 50 greatest tag teams of all time. But I would have loved to have been a heavyweight champion, a singles. I think that's every boyhood dream. I just never had that advantage. I just was never given that. Not that I wasn't given the opportunity. It just wasn't in my cards. So I'm happy where I'm at. it is what it is. And like I said, I mean, it's not like I can't wrestle singles matches. I can put some great singles matches together. But I mean, I'm happy where I can say, hey, I was part of something really special, you know, with my brother, the Haas brothers, and then with Shelton, you know, as world's greatest tag team.
Well, that I agree 100%, Charlie. You're one of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots, and your legacy on this business has been immortalized throughout the years in numerous different companies. I haven't been this excited in a long time for somebody to step into an IHWE ring. I mean, I've worked with a lot of people over the years, but man, this is going to be good. Charlie Haas will challenge Americos for the DFW Championship, a championship based on the lineage of this territory, September 28th at Old School Hustle. You got to get your tickets at IHWEnow.com. Charlie, I will see you on September 28th, brother.
I'll see you guys. Thank you for having me. God bless, guys.
Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Charlie Haas. And again, on Sunday night, September 28th, so many legends, so many superstars will be there. He will challenge Americos, who escaped by the skin of his teeth this past Saturday. I was the special guest referee, and Americos was so close to losing that championship. You're going to be able to see that historic triple threat 2 out of 3 fall match in a few weeks on IHWE TV. You talk about championship, you talk about this territory's history. The DFW Championship was created for that reason. It's been held by such stars as Lenny Lane. That's right. Lenny and Lodi, standards and practices, whatever you want to throw at him, and by the legendary Chico Torres of Devastation Incorporated. Charlie Haas has an opportunity to walk out with that title on Sunday night, September 28th, in front of his mentor, James E. Cornette. It is going to be a raucous night. Our Super Bowl, our Academy Awards, our World Series coming at you Sunday, September 28th. Michael?
And David.
Yes.
And you can't forget about this also. You're talking about a former Ring of Honor tag team champion, Sheldon Benjamin. Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion right now, Kyle O'Reilly, along with Bobby Fish. Kyle O'Reilly is actually going to be at Old School Hustle. And in my opinion, the best wrestler in the world today, without a doubt, is my opinion, and he's going to be there.
And he's also going to be here next week on IHWE Radio. Kyle O'Reilly, you are correct. This past weekend, he was at the historic Battle of Los Angeles for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, where Kyle O'Reilly is the PWG Heavyweight Champion. He was also there with another gentleman who's also been in IHWE recently, the whole shebang, Johnny Gargano. That match is on IHWEnow.com right now. You can go watch Johnny Gargano against Thomas Shire and Gargano's Texas wrestling debut. Kyle O'Reilly, the generational thing is going to be great at Old School Hustle, because you've got people like Stan Hansen and Lynn Denton who were running around in the 70s, destroying people, setting records, drawing money. And then you got Jim Cornette, who grew up a lifelong fan of the industry, worked his butt off, but Jim has said he has done everything there is to do in this business except pop the popcorn, and I told him I'm going to make him pop the popcorn at Old School Hustle. So you might actually get a chance to see Jim Cornette popping popcorn if you come to Old School Hustle. And then you go from Jim Cornette to Charlie Haas, who, like you said, and like he said, he came in during the whole Monday Night War, the Attitude Era, up in Jersey All-Pro. Jersey All-Pro was one of the places to be at if you were a wrestler. I know, because I was breaking in. I broke in 1998, and that was one of the places. And then he went from there to Heartland, to OVW, and then on the SmackDown. His WWE run with Shelton Benjamin, Kurt Angle is legendary. And then he went to Ring of Honor with Shelton and had a great series with the Kings of Wrestling. Most people will know them as Cesaro and Chris Hero, who had a cup of coffee at Developmental as Cassius Ono. And now he's back down here. He's wrestled for the NWA. And finally, he's at IHWE. And he's Charlie Haas, so of course he gets a championship match. So, anyway, Michael, I hijacked your show.
You always do. It's okay.
That's right.
But I like having you back, man. I like having you back. But as Austin was saying, next week here on the road to Old School Hustle through the month of September, we will be joined by Kyle O'Reilly. Last night I talked. We were going to be joined on the 17th by the Executive Vice President-elect of the Cauliflower Alley Club, Morgan Dollar. Morgan's going to be coming on to give us his opinion on the situation involving David and one Matt Riviera. Should be a very interesting interview there. And on the 24th, David will be joining us once more time as we head into the final days leading up to Old School Hustle. So this month, lots of Old School Hustle. Everybody's ready. It's going to be a great show.
I think our next guest is on the line, Michael.
It's our next guest on the line.
I think 516 area code.
I believe so. We are being joined at this time by a New York Times best-selling author. He was the author and creator of the WWE Encyclopedia. On September 15th, they are releasing 30 Years of WrestleMania, and he is here to talk about that and other projects he's been involved in. Please welcome to IHWE Radio, Brian Shields.
Hi,
Brian,
guys. How are you? Thanks so much for having me on.
Glad to have you on, man. Thank you for joining us. Now, as I just stated there, on September 15th, book 30 Years of WrestleMania will be released, and you also wrote the WWE Encyclopedia. I have both versions of that book, and I will be ordering the 30 Years. But what was the inspiration to do the 30 Years of WrestleMania as well as the WWE Encyclopedia?
Well, first off, thank you for supporting my writing and co-author Kevin Sullivan's writing. Kevin and I worked together on both versions of the WWE Encyclopedia. The original vision for the WWE Encyclopedia came from a gentleman named Dean Miller, and Dean used to work at WWE and oversee the home entertainment division within the Consumer Products Group. And Dean has a publishing background and a great knowledge of WWE and sports entertainment history. And he wanted to create something that had never been done before. And for WWE, as far as an official written record of the company, if you went back to when, the WWE began as the WWE in 1963, and it went through present day. So anybody that was in the company in an on-air capacity, where you received an entry into the WWE Encyclopedia as much as possible. We tried to get everybody in there. Thankfully the first version was very well received. It debuted in 2009 on the New York Times bestsellers list, and it was there for 5 consecutive weeks. And once the encyclopedia was done, we were starting, even just unofficially, getting ready for the second one. And the second one came out in November of 2012. And it's just been a great project to be part of. I grew up on Long Island, a huge wrestling fan. And growing up in the 80s, Long Island was one of the first places in the country that had really like full cable television. So, we had WWE, we had Georgia Championship Wrestling, which was then followed by Jim Crockett Promotions. We had on ESPN during the week, we had AWA and World Class Championship Wrestling. We had Pro Wrestling This Week, which was that great Sports Center style show hosted by Joe Pedicino and Gordon Soley. So it was, for me to have the opportunity to work with WWE like I have since the late 1990s has really been a dream come true.
Brian, this is David Fuller, and we actually spoke to each other to get you on here. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to get on here, and I'm glad we were able to get you on here as quick as we did. So you were a fan, which I believe, and Jim Ross has said this many times, and I think Jim is dead on the money. He may not always be the most popular person in WWE, depending on what day it is. But Jim is dead on. I think the most successful people, maybe not always the most successful, but I think the people who just the drive that a longtime fan has. I mean, I was a longtime fan. You were a longtime fan. Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman. There's a trend here. There's a trend that, you know, I think for you to really understand this business and have a true love, I'm not saying that you can't watch the business and fall in love with it quickly, because some people have, but I truly believe the people that grew up with it and watched the territories or watched different styles of wrestling. I grew up down here, so obviously it was world-class championship wrestling. Of course, I watched the World Wrestling Federation. I watched Jim Crockett Promotions. I watched any kind of freaking wrestling I could see. So, I mean, you know, and I loved it. So, I mean, I truly believe, and you being a writer, I'm going to write my first book next year about my years in wrestling and all the people I've gotten the opportunity to work with. Truly believe, where I'm going with this is I truly believe that if you grow up and you truly love this business as a fan, I truly believe that you get it, and I truly believe that, you know, I think if you love this business, you'll get it, and if you strive to do something in this business, like whether you want to be headlining WrestleMania or you want to be writing about WrestleMania and giving fans, superstars, legends, a piece of history to keep a hold of and read, like yourself, I truly believe those, when you're a fan and you have a love for this business, it just, the sky's the limit.
Well, I definitely agree, and I feel that way in general about people pursuing, you know, their dreams and their career paths, and, you know, the old adage of, you know, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And, you know, I think there are certain industries, I think when you start talking about professional sports, professional entertainment, arts, things along those lines, things that are very, very competitive, you know, I mean, so many other fields as well, you know, very, very competitive. You have to have that passion and love for what you're doing, because not every day is going to be a great day. You know, you're not always going to have a great day at the office, so to speak. And, you know, and when you love what you do and you have that passion for what you're doing, makes you gut it out when you need to. And I think that's something that I think WWE fans have heard a lot about, especially over probably the last 10 years or so, where, you know, the 10 to 12 years, you know, the WWE has done a great job. I really love the all of the documentaries that were coming out on home video. And, you know, that's one of the things, I mean, they're all different. You know, they all feature somebody else, and, you know, everybody has their own path, and everybody has traveled a different path to WWE, but that is one of the things where they all have that in common, is the passion for WWE and sports entertainment. And I think when people see 30 years of WrestleMania as a book, they're going to see in that beautiful signature DK style of designing these, you know, these commemorative books, they're going to see the passion of the men and women that work, frankly, on both sides of the camera 52 weeks a year to bring them the absolute best in entertainment.
You know, the Ultimate Warrior, God rest his soul, he got up during WrestleMania weekend, and he does this speech, and everybody thinks, oh my gosh, he's going to obliterate the entire organization. And what he did do, in typical Warrior fashion, was he went 90 miles an hour, he bounced all over the walls. But I remember one thing, he went out of his way to put over the people that the fans don't necessarily read about all the time. he put over the production. He named one individual in particular, and you might remember Brian more than anybody, and he stated, I think starting next year, I think the WWE Hall of Fame should honor the people behind the scenes, whether it be in production, whether it be security, whether it be the makeup, the staff, the people who handle the wardrobe. Jim Johnston, who I think is a WWE icon because he has 3 decades and you know, sending out these soundtracks to our favorite iconic WWE superstars. But I thought it was very cool that the Warrior, who for so many years had this predisposed, people thought, oh, he was just about himself. No, he actually wasn't. He put over more people in his Hall of Fame speech. He put over people down here, Lynn Denton, Bronco Lubick, and then he talked about Red Bastien and our friend Big Bill Anderson, and then he started talking about the people behind the scenes. And I think it's really cool that you and Kevin, and I follow Kevin on Twitter, and he has some really good observations about the sports entertainment industry, and he's really fun to listen to. And I have the WWE Encyclopedia, and I'm a big fan of it because my mentor, Johnny Valentine, is even featured in the encyclopedia, and that's very cool for me. But I think it's great that yourself and Kevin go out of your way to honor not only the superstars, but the people who help get the superstars where they become superstars.
Well, I think the thing is that whenever you're working on something, you want it to be the best it can be. And you know, when we knew that we were working with WWE and DK to create this first ever WWE Encyclopedia, you know, we knew what it had to be, and everybody wanted it to be just the greatest official written record ever put together on the history of the company. And you know, I mean, the book is over 400 pages. The second one is over 460 pages. I mean, these books weigh over 5 pounds. So, you know, it was a huge honor for me to be able to work with DK and WWE and to work with Kevin. And, you know, I mean, those 2 books, as well as the other projects that I've worked on with WWE, you know, has led me to this, which for now over a year has been about putting together, you know, the 30 years of WrestleMania. And, you know, it's very exciting. And, you know, one of the fun things about doing these interviews is that I get to quote one of my favorite announcers, Gorilla Monsoon. I would like to think he would say, you know, if he was announcing on Superstars of Wrestling Wrestling Challenge or Primetime Wrestling, you know, or those early WrestleManias, and there was an ad or a TV spot for the book, you know, he would say, you know, on September 15th, history will be made when 30 years of WrestleMania comes out. And, you know, and it's a huge deal. And, you know, when we talked about Dean Miller earlier with the WWE Encyclopedia, you know, Dean was also involved in this book as well. So it was great for me to be able to work with him again. And, you know, guys, and for 30 years of WrestleMania, it's over 220 pages. So you're going to have all of the match results, write-ups on the matches. There are special sections paying tribute to The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, the Hall of Fame, Fan Access, and other parts of WWE. You know, I don't want to ruin it or give too much away, but there are celebrities that I got to interview for the book.
Awesome.
So, you know, and people that were on camera at WrestleMania. I mean, they were a part of the WrestleMania production. Awesome. You know, and then there's also, you know, to set the table, so to speak, there's a little bit before you get to WrestleMania to put everything in context about what was going on with WWE at the time as an organization. It doesn't just start out the bell rings and it's Tito Santana versus the Executioner.
Mm-hmm.
We want to immerse people in the history of WrestleMania, and we want to let people know all of the incredible things that were going on, not only in the ring, but behind the scenes as well.
Sure.
Now, Brian, I was going to say, to talk about WrestleMania and just that word right there, WrestleMania. I went to WrestleMania 30 this past April, and
nice.
to describe it in one word, I would have to say magical, because it's probably the most magical experience in my entire life. I'm not just saying that, just to blow smoke or anything. If you're there, you're there, and the aura is something that's not almost human-like. It's a different feeling, and I hope the fans get that same exact feeling that I got when being at WrestleMania 30, when reading this book. And I don't know if you've been to WrestleMania. I imagine you've had since you're writing this, but I mean, you know how it feels if you're there.
Well, you bring up a great point, and that was one of the kind of regular inspirations that came to mind while working on the book. I've been fortunate enough to go to several WrestleMania events. I watched all of them. I grew up with WrestleMania, and that's why there's a little bit of this that's sentimental for me. WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania was in 1985 at Madison Square Garden. I was 6 years old. So not only does this, confirm for me that I've gotten a lot older since then, but I've had my first WrestleMania live was WrestleMania 18 at Skydome in Toronto, and being at several WrestleManias after that, I mean, there's really nothing like it. This, and you'll see this when people are paging through the more than 220 pages. You will see, just by looking at the photos and reading the chapters, that this event has grown to become literally exactly what Michael Cole says it is, the greatest live event in entertainment. And you will see that progression when you're going through the book.
Brian, do you have a question for our guest tonight?
Well, I remember the first WrestleMania I went to was WrestleMania 19. And it is quite the experience, going with my best friend, checking out Fan Access, and we got some pictures with some of the superstars. I get to see the event itself. Yeah, there's nothing like it. Nothing like being part of that spectacle. I have the first copy of WWE Encyclopedia, and it is a wonderful, wonderful book.
Oh, thank you.
I got some of it autographed at the Cauliflower Alley Club reunions. But I was also very surprised, and I mean, you obviously care about the history, even about some of the people who were still trying to deal with, even after the ramifications of what's happened, specifically Chris Benoit.
Right.
And I was wondering, how did you handle this with everything that was going on? And it just, when your book came out, it was just been 2 years since that had happened, and 7 years later, it's still tough to talk about.
Yes. As far as the Chris Benoit entry in the WWE Encyclopedia, there was never any question that I was made aware of on whether or not he would be in the book. I think WWE as a whole, I think they've done an excellent job and they did an excellent job at the time of handling the details and the events that transpired in 2007. This is something, and I think this is something that's also just important, to kind of remind people of is, this was not a disagreement on business terms during a negotiation or or a disagreement on creative direction of someone's character on television or anything like that. What took place was an unspeakable human tragedy. So I think the way that it was done for the encyclopedia, and I wrote that entry for the encyclopedia, it's just done very carefully, and you just try to be as sensitive as possible while also being historically accurate. And,
Exactly.
Chris Benoit is mentioned in the 30 Years of WrestleMania book as well, because these books are involving history. And,
right.
As far as a historical written record, in order to be accurate, he needs to be included in the work. And it's just like if you go on their website, he's mentioned in the title histories and things like that. And I think that's fine, and I think that's exactly the parameters of where it should stay. It was something that was done. As far as his entry was just written very carefully in terms of just wanting to be as sensitive as possible.
Now I'm going to go. We're going to go on with a second round of questions here. Something a little bit different. I'm actually going to be attending WrestleMania this upcoming March in Santa Clara. Only about 5 hours from where I live, so I'm actually looking forward to this. But what I thought would be kind of an interesting way to go is for each one of us, as the interviewers, to give one of our favorite WrestleMania moments, and maybe have you give us a little background on it pertaining to what you've researched for your book, if you would be interested in that.
Ring the bell.
You're good. You're really good, Brian.
I know for myself, still one of the greatest moments, and maybe it might sound like is Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, the Iron Man match, but not the match itself. While it was great, was that final moment when Shawn Michaels has the belt on the knees, whatever. At that point in time, that looked like a genuine emotion. He was finally the champion. That has been my favorite moment of all time. Nothing has topped that yet.
Well, I mean, that's definitely one of the greatest matches in all of WWE and sports entertainment history, without a doubt. And it's another one of those moments where people have said in the past, things that resemble reality seem to be the most successful and memorable. And, what Vince McMahon said over commentary of, the boyhood dream of Shawn Michaels has come true. I mean, that was very real. I mean, Shawn Michaels grew up in Texas, a huge wrestling fan, and it was his dream to be the world champion. Some of my great moments in researching this book were not only talking to Shawn Michaels himself, who also, by the way, does the foreword for 30 Years of WrestleMania, which is really cool. But it was also talking with Bret Hart and talking with Pat Patterson. And there's some really interesting stuff, guys, and I can't wait for you to see it. There's some really interesting stuff shared in that entry about, how originally that main event and that match was not something that Vince McMahon wanted to do for the main event of a pay-per-view, let alone a WrestleMania. So I don't want to give too much of it away, but there are some great quotes from everyone involved about how that match came about and then the match itself. And, and even speaking with members of the WWE roster today, because I was thankfully to Steve Panaleo at WWE and Mark Carano and so many others, I was able to go backstage and work backstage at live events and Raws and SmackDowns. And, that match, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 12, was very influential in many of the current superstars wanting to, enter this industry.
Joe, do you have a moment that you would like to discuss with our guest?
Yes, indeed. Brian, I like to say I've looked at your WWE Encyclopedia. Awesome read, and I am chomping at the bit to look at the WrestleMania book.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, over the past years of WrestleMania, I've seen all of them, and there's some that your jaw drops to the ground or what have you. But there's one moment that I actually teared up, borderline of crying, and in sheer joy. It was like maybe, for myself, it was sheer satisfaction that the powers that be at WWE got it right for one moment, just in my little perfect world, where you see in the middle of Madison Square Garden Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit with the championship belts. And I saw that, and the first thing I blurted out was, these are not two superstars in the ring. These are two professional wrestlers. That is my all-time favorite WrestleMania moment.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great WrestleMania. Both of them had great matches, and it was really that the way that show ended was really a tribute to both of their careers and it was a wonderful way to end the 20th anniversary of WrestleMania, without a doubt. And you look back at both the matches that Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero had, and they were phenomenal. They were absolutely phenomenal, and they had such similar paths in terms of once they turned professional, working in various parts of North America and then Japan and, to ECW and WCW and their close friendship. So, yeah, it was something that was definitely, I think it was definitely a special moment, and it was something that I think especially fans of a certain style of performing really, really appreciated.
I, for one, sure did.
Oh, and I did as well. They both of those men were favorites of mine for many years, and the tape trading back in the day, and getting stuff from Japan and reading the magazines and things like that. So, I remember I remember that event very well, and definitely it was definitely a very, very thrilling end.
And that for me too was one of my favorite moments. Pegasus Kid and Black Tiger. You watching from New Japan Pro Wrestling and seeing them, grow into the people they were at that time. WrestleMania 20 was amazing. But my favorite moment that I think, I always say this is a testimony on why I love professional wrestling and why I love it so much, is The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25 or 26. I cannot draw the line where I'm saying, oh, well, this match was better than the other one. But in terms of being the magical spectacle that you always know Shawn Michaels and Undertaker to put on, they were both up to par.
Absolutely. WrestleMania 25, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, is probably the best match I've ever seen, and it's definitely the best match I've ever seen live, without a doubt. I was lucky enough to be there. That was a couple of weeks after the first encyclopedia came out, so I was in Houston for that, and I was lucky enough to go to WrestleMania, and Yeah, it was. I mean, one of the greatest matches of all time, if not the, for me, Ricky Steamboat Randy Savage was on that list for so long. But yeah, I mean, and when you speak to Shawn Michaels, and it's in the 30 Years of WrestleMania book, where he says, after 25, he was at peace himself, and that he felt like if he retired after that match, he would have been fine with that. I mean, it's just, I think that's one of those matches that will be talked about forever.
Without a doubt, history has always been about significance. I have been to WrestleMania 19 and get to see great matches, and of course, Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho stole the show. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar against Kurt Angle, with Brock getting hurt legit, which I didn't like seeing happen at the time. Well, at least I know some fans will probably want to know. Let's talk about one of the most significant deals this past WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar hitting The Undertaker, ending the streak. And since 1991, we saw The Undertaker against Jimmy Snuka at WrestleMania 7, and then we just see him build and build and build to basically where WrestleMania really wasn't the spectacle. Undertaker became the spectacle. He became the one-man show. We saw that. And when they lost the match, you could just hear, it was so quiet, you could just hear a pin drop. And you saw the shock from all the faces. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I'm still shocked, just as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
As a fan, it was something that, the streak was something that I always wanted to remain untouchable, just as a fan. And I was shocked when it happened, and, it's very clear that everyone was shocked. I mean, the 75,000 plus that was at the Superdome in New Orleans, I mean, it was like a hush. It seemed like a hush that fell over the crowd. And, there's one other moment in WWE history where it's been described that way, and that's when Bruno Sammartino lost his heavyweight crown to Ivan Koloff at Madison Square Garden. It wasn't a WrestleMania, but the principle is the same, where you have a capacity crowd and they're just in shock to the point where it's just silent. So, for The Undertaker, it really was one of those moments where I never thought I'd see it happen at a WrestleMania, and it was definitely shocking.
Yeah, I was actually there for WrestleMania 30 in this past April, and to describe the feeling when he hit the three, you always expected from previous WrestleManias that he was always going to kick out right before them, not even the last second. It was just a smidge of that. And once he landed a 3 count, nobody. I mean, that was the most insane feeling emotionally that you can ever get if you're a wrestling fan, and knowing what the streak holds as a part of the history of WWE. I mean, it was just I can't even explain it. I'm getting a loss of words even talking about it now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. I mean, even WWE's broadcast team is some of the best in all of television and entertainment, and I think the announcers were the ones, if I remember right, that started the standing ovation. I mean, it was almost like no one knew what to do after that happened. And and I think especially in 2014, for so many of the news reports and things being leaked and spoilers, which I've never understood why anybody would want spoilers before anything. I mean, as a fan, that just ruins it for me. But in all of that, for so many people to be in genuine shock And for that happening to make mainstream news was something, it's really a testament to who The Undertaker is as a performer and as an entity. And, it's just, that's also something that I think will be talked about forever, because you will see and your audience will see when they go through the pages of 30 Years of WrestleMania, there's that special tribute section to The Undertaker, and there are some great from people within the company on what the streak has meant, and what the way that they put it really says it all.
Indeed. Well, Brian, I want to thank you for taking time. Brian, he travels. He does travel. He hosts WWE. He goes around and tells people the history of WWE. He's on Twitter at It's Brian Shields, and you can find 30 Years of WrestleMania in your retailers. I have it pulled up right here on Amazon.com, September 15th. I have mine pre-ordered. It's got almost every headliner you can possibly think of from 30 Years of WrestleMania on the cover, forward by Mr. WrestleMania, Mr. Hall of Fame, the main event, the icon who can still go, and every other cliche Mr. Shawn Michaels had for himself. He will do that. Brian, you are very passionate about the business. I've enjoyed our conversations via Facebook and Twitter. We'd love to have you back on maybe before the holidays and get a hard push out for Christmas. I think this would make a great Christmas gift. But why wait? Do it in September on the 15th. It'll be great. I'll be getting mine thanks to Amazon Prime, 2-day shipping. Everything comes out on this release date. So, Brian, you got the floor. Plug whatever you want, boss.
Well, David, I can't thank you enough for having me on. We've been connected on social media now for over a year, and it's really been great just reading your posts and looking at all the great work that you're doing down in Texas. And, I've really enjoyed the show. Actually, one of my favorite interviews that you guys did, because I was a fan of Devastation Incorporated, was the Mick Foley, Gary Young.
That was fun, yes.
Interview. So for me, to be able to come on now as a guest, I really appreciate you guys having me on. And I'll come back whenever you guys will be willing to hear my voice. Anytime, it'll be my pleasure. And, yeah, if any of your audience would like to connect with me online, I'm on Twitter at It's Brian Shields. And then I'm also on Facebook. And I'll be talking about 30 Years of WrestleMania and, different things, behind-the-scenes stuff and everything else. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on for the foreseeable future regarding 30 Years of WrestleMania.
And, Brian, is there a direct website besides Amazon that people can get the book on if they want to go directly through the website?
There are, you could buy 30 Years of WrestleMania wherever books are sold.
Gotcha.
So, and if you wanted to, you could go to WWE Shop, you could go to DK. But wherever, because there are a lot of retailers, that are thankfully going to be carrying the book. So, wherever books are sold, members of your audience and fans will be able to get it.
If you follow IHWE on Facebook, I just posted the Amazon link for the book. Go pre-order it. It comes out September 15th. We'll love to have you on again, Brian. You've been so supportive, and you've taken time to email me and say such positive things. I enjoy communicating with you, and I think the business is better off with people like you in it.
Likewise. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Good night.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Hi, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, all right, that was Brian Shields. He is, he's a great guy. He does travel, Michael, and guys, he travels around the Northeast, and he actually puts on. I don't know if you can classify them as assemblies, symposiums, whatever the word is. He actually does history of He'll actually go into a public forum and he will talk about the history of the WWE, and he doesn't do it reading note cards. He doesn't do it reading Wikipedia printouts. He does it from his heart and his mind. And just like everybody on this show right now, it's because he's a lifelong fan. And lifelong fans don't need to read anything. All you got to do is dwell in your mind.
Yep.
And you got to. Us wrestling fans, we've got the old school UHF TV in our head, and we're replaying stuff every moment of every day. And Michael, Joe, yeah. So anyway, but Brian, thank you for joining us. Brian Shields, 30 years of WrestleMania. Michael, throwing it back to you.
All right, well, we're going to get back into our normal format for the second hour of the show. For all of you listening, in case you haven't noticed, we have been joined this evening by our resident historian, Brian Westcott, and, of course, the phenomenal Austin James. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. I'm doing good because, I'm doing phenomenal because good isn't just, good enough. You have to step up the notch. Always.
I'm stealing the nickname, man. AJ Styles, no. From now on, it's phenomenal Austin James. I like it.
I'll take it.
Good. And, of course, we are also being joined by my boss, business partner, David, and we're going to talk a little bit about last Saturday's Showdown event. I've seen some pictures, man. I've heard about the attendance, but just how was Showdown this past Saturday night?
Anytime you're going into a new venue, and, I get so nervous because you want people there. The thing is, you want a lot of people there, you want them loud, and you want them happy. And those are, sometimes you only get one, sometimes you only get two. So very rarely do you get all three of those. We were lucky to get it on June 8th, and damn it, we were lucky to get it on Saturday. We went into this new venue, and we drew 264 people, which blows my mind because, June 8th was our first show in 3 years. And then we come back in June, we drew 510, and then on a Saturday night, Labor Day weekend, I believe the TCU Horn Frogs were playing here. I might be mistaken, but there was a lot going on this past weekend, and we drew 264 people, and it was a big night. It was really weird. We started out the night with Peyton Gates, who came out, and she was due to wrestle Miss Dyslexia, who was on here last week. Miss Dyslexia in the Independent Spotlight, which I think is a great idea. Peyton, I brought Peyton out. First, I went out to the ring and I introduced Patrick Scott Patterson, the original PFP, who was on this show a few weeks ago. He's a video game brand ambassador. He's been involved with the media, San Diego Comic-Con, South by Southwest. He's going to be the social media ambassador for Old School Hustle on Sunday night, September 28th. And then also the man who ended my career back in 2009, SB1, came out. We haven't been in the same ring since I ended his career when I made him defend his title against Main Event Mike Fox back in 2010. Short, we ended up shaking hands and putting it all behind us, and I have a lot of respect for SB1. He's a veteran in the United States military. Peyton came out, injured her wrist during a workout getting ready for Miss Dyslexia. Miss Dyslexia was at her picture, her table signing pictures, came up to the ring. Texas wrestling women are really coming up, and I look forward to wrestling you. Shook her hand. The next thing you know, Miss Dyslexia has Peyton up on her shoulders and drops her with a Death Valley driver. And I just completely freaked me out because I had no idea that was going to happen. And I'm not mad at Miss Dyslexia. I'm not this good guy, goody two-shoes promoter. Hey, I've done that before. I've taken advantage of opportunities. I'm not going to hate on her for that. She saw an opportunity. She took it. Delilah Doom was there. She had come to the show. She wasn't booked, but she'd come to the show and done some promo pictures for us to prepare for her upcoming IHWE career. She happened to be backstage, and she saw what was going on. She decided to come to the ring and check on Peyton because they had been working together, training and whatnot. And the next thing you know, Miss Dyslexia dropped her too. Miss Dyslexia is standing over these two young talents who just want to wrestle. And so finally I get Mr. Selecta out of the ring and tell him, come on, you've proven your point. That was the beginning of the evening, and you're going to see the rest on IHWE. But, man, by the end of the night, we went in for the championship match, and I was going to be the special guest referee, and I haven't refereed a match in forever, and it's not easy refereeing. Michael can attest to that.
Yes,
especially refereeing these three guys who they don't have a second gear. Three guys that are all in their late teens, early 20s, and I'm looking at them, and I feel like a grandfather in the ring with them, and I'm only 33. So they went nearly 20 minutes, each man winning a fall, and then I ended up making sudden death because of the fact that I promised everybody a clear winner. Americas did win, and as soon as the match was over, I got all three guys up and raised their hands because it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal match. You're going to have to watch it here in a few weeks on IHWE. All of a sudden, Kevin Cross, Nigel Rabbit, and Lee Fane come in, and Kevin Cross is legitimately 7 feet tall. He clotheslines all four of us and knocks us out of the ring. 4 of us. He clotheslined all 4 of us. So, competitors from the DFW title match are spent. I jumped up. My head and my neck are killing me, but I'm mad as hell. I'm one of the guys that trained Kevin Cross. And Nigel Rabbit in his ring runs his mouth. Alex Davis follow. I'm doing the worst Nigel Rabbit impression of all time. But anyway, he's calling me out. Matt Avery's at ringside. He's one of the IHWE color commentators, but he had we had done an anti-bullying assembly earlier that day, and Matt Avery was like, if you bully people, you're going to get dealt with, and he saw a guy who was a little bit smaller than Kevin Cross getting bullied. He had his bat with him, his trusty bat, Batman. He's our own Batman. Ha-ha, Batman, play on words. Okay, anyway. I jumped up on the apron, and I went after Nigel Rabbit. I jumped in the ring after Nigel Rabbit. Probably not the smartest move because the next thing you know, I'm being turned around and Kevin Cross's big hand is coming across my head and forming the top. And I go down like a sack of potatoes. The next thing I know, SB1, who thought hated my guts, he put me out of business. He ran in and he tried to help me. SB1 was sitting in the crowd with his wife. He was just there as a guest. He's a former IHWE champion, but he's been retired for years. He jumped in and tried to help me, and he got laid out by Kevin Cross. So now there's bodies all over the place. Matt Avery is seriously with this bat, and he's being challenged to come in. Next thing you know, coming through the front of the building, Thomas Steyer, the Terry Gordy Memorial Cup winner, comes in, turns Kevin Cross around, and picks the 7-foot-tall, 330-pound Kevin Cross up over his head and body slams down. When that happened, the place went crazy. They went absolutely nuts. And Kevin Cross rolled out of the ring, and then he was hit and then destroyed by Matt Avery with his bat. And Black Bart was there, and he was screaming at everybody throughout the night. And I do know that sometime during the evening after the show, the Rabbit Empire, not by me, but by Black Bart, was suspended. It's going to unfold on IHWE that after the show, my wife, the tricky lady that she is, she got in the ring and had made me an award along with the other superstars, and that was very nice. And then the next thing you know, she's reminding me, you got to do this ice bucket challenge. And I'm like, ugh. Like, fine. So I got on the microphone, I challenged everybody in the audience, and I challenged the entire roster. Anyway, Thomas Shire, he said, I'll do it with you. And then the owner of the building, Action Martial Arts, Andy, he said, I'll do it with you too. So we sit down, and my wife gets the ice chest, which where all the sodas and the water were in, and dumps it all over her head. Well, it was hot. It was a hot summer night in Texas, and I'd been in the ring for 20 minutes, and then the ice came down on me, and I thought I was going to go. I thought I was going in shock because I couldn't breathe. So as soon as the ice hit me, I ran like a little child to the locker room to try to get my breath back. Because seriously, I didn't know what was going on, and that's what it's supposed to do. I got my breath back, and I'm shirtless, and I'm drenched in water. My wife calls me back out the ring. I go back to the ring. She takes a piece of cake. They got me a birthday cake, and she shoves it in my face. And then I grabbed her and planted one on her for good measure. So, not sure if everybody will see that footage on IHWE TV. That might be an outtake. Doyle King was also there. He, Texas wrestling legend, world-class, USWA Global. He's also been a radio personality, and he had a blast. He's going to be at Old School Hustle along with Craig Johnston of the Global Wrestling Federation. Anyway, IHWE TV in the next few weeks, you will be able to see all that good stuff. But I want to thank everybody for coming out, supporting the show. We are hoping to be back at Action Martial Arts in April, but we will make that announcement after Old School Hustle. But it was crazy. It's the second time that I have been assaulted. And like I said, at Old School Hustle, me and Matt Riviere, hopefully we get everything settled. I'm not going to worry about the Rabbit Empire. They've been suspended. I'll deal with them later. But Matt Riviera, I don't care how many belts he walks in with. I don't care if he walks in with the IHWE title, the NWA Lone Star Tag titles, or the NWA World Heavyweight title. I don't care how many belts he walks in with. That night, me and him in the center of the ring with a microphone, and we're going to get this settled. So, that was my Saturday.
What a Saturday that was.
Great. That's a great Saturday night right there. And for anyone interested, if you go to IHWE's Facebook fan page, you can see some pictures of the Ice Bucket Challenge with the sweaty David Fuller. Didn't quite do that correctly. You can also see the birthday cake, and yes, I even saw a picture of you kissing your wife.
What did I not do correctly? You got to remember, I got stopped in the head by a 7-foot tall giant. I didn't even know where I was at.
Next time, man, cool down a little first. Well, actually, no, you cooled down. You cooled down real quick once you dumped the ice bucket over the top of you.
Yeah, because I had a choice in the matter. I didn't take footage with a phone that I could edit, do whatever I want. I did it in the center of the ring in front of about 300 fans. So I think I won up everybody that I know who did the Ice Bucket Challenge because I did it in the center of the ring after a live event. So, yeah.
Now, will we see footage of this, or is it just going to be the pictures? Because obviously the cameras were rolling, weren't they?
The cameras were rolling. Maybe on the first IHWE After the Show DVD. No, we'll make the footage available. It's the memory cards. The process is the memory cards are in Houston right now with our director of television, and he's making it. So yeah. But anyway, guys, I got to jump off here.
After the show.
Yes, after the show. I'm going to jump off here. Fatherhood's calling me. Thank you guys for having me on. Michael, thank you for working with me today. Thank you guys. Y'all have a great rest of the show. Thank you, Charlie Hall. Thank you, Brian Stills. IHWE TV starts at 10 p.m. Central. Matt Riviera and Tim Storm, the Empire, take on Seth Shai and the GFW champion Americas. September 28th, Old School Hustle. Next week, Kyle O'Reilly. I'm out. Deuces later.
Thanks for joining us, David. All right, everybody. As always, the illustrious owner of IHWE Professional Wrestling, Mr. David Fuller. We will make sure that all footage of the Ice Bucket Challenge is uploaded to the Facebook page. I will personally make sure that happens because I want to see it myself. But we're going to move on. We got some good news. Joe, I talked to you earlier today. CAC news, got some big news coming up. One, we all heard last week that Nick Bockwinkel has stepped down from the office of president, and the president-elect, Brian Blair, has now moved up to being the new president of the Cauliflower Alley Club. He will be overseeing the 50th anniversary reunion. He will also be a guest on this show in the next few months. I have to contact him. We're going to work on that. But Brian Blair is the new president. I would like to take this time to personally thank Nick for the years he put in as CAC president. When I first attended the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion, Red Bastine was still the president. So I was there when Red stepped down and Nick took over, and I've been going through all the years that Nick was the president and all that, overseeing the reunions. And Nick is a class act. He put his heart and soul into everything that was about that reunion. So I would like to personally thank him for everything he's done. I wish him well in his years after being president, and hopefully we will see him again at the reunions. And I would like to congratulate the new president of the CAC, Mr. Brian Blair. Hold on just a second here. And also, anybody who listens to CAC Radio, they uploaded their newest episode last night, and the first award recipient was announced on CAC Radio. Instead of announcing all of the honorees at one time like we did last year and when Morgan Dollar came on this show, they're going to bring out a few each week. I talked with Morgan last night. They're not going to throw them all out at once, a little bit here and there. Keep your attention going. Last night was the announcement of the Jason Sanderson Humanitarian Award. And that award will be going to none other than Diamond Dallas Page. I cannot think of anybody that is more deserving of the Humanitarian Award at this time than DDP.
I couldn't agree more.
Had a chance
well
to meet him.
deserved.
Had a chance to meet him a couple years ago when he inducted Jake Roberts at the reunion. And speaking of Jake Roberts, along with Jason Sanderson, Jake Roberts will be one of the presenters for Diamond Dallas Page, as well as, the way Morgan put it, the son of a plumber from Austin, Texas. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, will be a presenter for Diamond Dallas Page, April 14th or 15th at the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion when he receives the Humanitarian Award.
Talk about star-studded, man. I'll tell you.
Wow.
Diamond Dallas Page, such a great man. I had the pleasure to meet him several years ago, and as well as Cauliflower Alley. And, Jake Roberts, we wish him well. He's improving, and, we expect him to be in tip-top shape to be at that podium. And Dusty Rhodes, what can you say about the American Dream that hasn't been said? One of the most charismatic wrestlers in the history of this business. A little personal side note, as you all know, as well as our fans out there in Radio Land, I'm a big fan of the Shires promotion, the San Francisco territory. Dusty Rhodes was the very last United States heavyweight champion for Roy Shires.
Now, that's a piece of history right there. I didn't know that. Yeah. I mean, what I know of Dusty is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion facing Ric Flair. And, of course, we all know the interview about he's wine and dine with kings and queens and whining on pork and beans. We all know that interview. Classic Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be star-studded, yeah. If that doesn't give you incentive to go, nothing will. And just going to keep better and better, yeah. DDP can't think of a better candidate for the Humanitarian Award. And, yes, we hope Jake Roberts gets better and better, at least from the reports we've been getting from Sid Bodie, who's been there by Jake's side. He's, like I say, he's been dealing with double pneumonia and did a bronchoscopy. Basically checked his bronchioles, and like I say, slowly but surely he's getting better, improving. So hopefully he will be his usual self come April. But yeah, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and I mentioned in Dusty Rhodes' autobiography, written by Howard Brody, CSC member, as an honorable fan, top 25 fans. So, but yeah, Dusty Rhodes been everywhere. One of the biggest box office draws in the 1970s, and of course, I became a fan in 1989, and that's, of course, when Dusty Rhodes went to WWE for a little while, and everybody's thinking, oh, they're all making fun of him. Well, at least it must have been really nice, not have to worry about booking shows and being on the main event all the time. So it might have been a nice vacation for him until he went back to WCW. But anyway, yeah, looking forward to CAC.
50 years of CAC. That's crazy. You know, the Cauliflower Alley has been around for a long, long time, and it's showcased, so many legendary names that, I can't even describe the names they've had. They've had so many over there, and they're going to be back in Las Vegas next year. I can't remember the exact date, but I'm sure Michael knows the information. What's the lowdown on the times, dates, and all the other information for the CAC 50th anniversary?
The 50th annual CAC reunion will be held at the fabulous Gold Coast Hotel and Casino. The days are April 13th, 14th, and 15th. April 12th will be the first night of Casino Royale. That is a Sunday night. The reunion itself will take place on the 13th, 14th, and 15th. $100 for a banquet ticket, which gets you access to the Nostalgia Room. That gives you a ticket for the Bologna Blowout. You have your ticket for the awards banquet on Wednesday night. You have your free ticket to go to both nights of Casino Royale, some of the greatest wrestling. This past Casino Royale, we saw an NWA title change. How often can you say you've seen an NWA world title change? Mm-hmm. It was a CAC.
Yeah.
I unfortunately cannot say I saw that because I was in my hotel room doing some work for IHWE Radio, and was kind of tired by the time it was all over with, so I said, hell with it, stayed in my hotel room.
I was there front row, and I'll tell you what. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Joe. I don't want to kick myself while I'm down.
Oh, okay. I'll help you up in a second there, boss. Hey, listen, as for that title change, how often do you get to see an NWA World title match, let alone a title change? Before Cauliflower Alley, the last time I saw an NWA title match was in 1973 in Medford, Oregon, when Jack Briscoe defended the title against Rasputin, and what a bout that was. But back to the bout at Cauliflower Alley. That was one of the best matches. Every match was great on the card, but this particular match, holy cow. 4-star match. It was just off the hook. It was good. Okay,
well, when
Mike,
you have two guys like Satoshi Kojima from New Japan and Rob Conway, it's going to be something to remember because those two guys have been wrestling for quite some time.
It was history making, definitely, without a doubt.
And I believe they actually had a CAC award winner, Brian Westcott. Didn't you win an award for Red Bastien? I'm not sure the title for the award. I know it's something to do with Red Bastien, right? Right.
Yeah, I received it in 2012. I was the last one to receive it while Red was still alive. Red's wife, Carol, was in the audience. His daughter presented me with a plaque. Carol had tears coming down her face when I mentioned Red in my speech. And, of course, like I say, we lost him. It's been 2 years since we lost Red to Alzheimer's at 81. Red was one of a kind, and he will never be forgotten, and his legacy continues. And, yes, thank you, Mr. Nick Bockwinkel, for everything you did as president. One class act, one classy guy. And congratulations, B. Brian Blair, as the new president. Catherine was a better person to do the job and do the job well. We're looking forward to it.
Nick Bockwinkel.
Now, if anyone out there... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
All right, thanks. Nick Bockwinkel, such a class act, second-generation wrestler. Father Warren Bockwinkel wrestled in the L.A. territory for the Strongbow promotion, pre-Cal Eaton, LaBelle, what have you. But anyway, what Nick brought to the table wrestling-wise, you knew what to expect, what he brought to the table as the president of the CAC. Such a class act. He handled the reunions with just... there's just so many words to just describe him, but he was just wonderful. And as for Mr. Brian Blair, congratulations on becoming the new president, and he'll carry on the same tradition. Fantastic wrestler, so we expect him to bring that same kind of flair, that same kind of excitement to the table as president of the Cauliflower Alley. So congratulations are in order for both Mr. Nick Bockwinkel and Mr. B. Brian Blair.
Now, if anyone listening thinks we're talking a little bit more about the CAC than normal, that is because, well, we are. Right now, we are in the month of September, the Road to Old School Hustle. As soon as the Road to Old School Hustle ends, though, we will begin a very long road to Las Vegas for the CAC 50th anniversary reunion, along with CAC Radio and the Cauliflower Alley Club website, their Facebook page, and the numerous other members who have their Facebook. We are going to be one of the sites or the shows where you can hear the news, the happenings as they occur. Tonight's announcement of the Jason Sanderson Humanitarian Award was just the tip of the iceberg. I had a meeting with Morgan Dollar last night. We talked for a while, and we will have CAC guests, including honorees that will be announced over the next few weeks. Can't say any name, but we are working on getting some of those on there. We will be joined by Morgan Dollar, Brian Blair, Carl Lauer to discuss CAC topics, CAC points of interest. We are going to be basically we are proud to be an official show sponsoring the CAC 50th anniversary reunion, because in April we are hosting one more time 2 nights live back-to-back podcasts. Joe and I will be live in Las Vegas right along with Brian, and we will be interviewing the top names, the honorees, the other guests, and a lot of other surprises live at the Gold Coast Hotel and Casino. So definitely something to look forward to. Right now, like I said, we're on the road to Old School Hustle, and then it's on the road to Vegas for CAC.
So for the fans out there that can't make it to the Gold Coast or haven't had a chance to become a member of the Cauliflower Alley, like to say up in Alaska, no sweat. You can follow the CAC by following us. We'll be your guide to what's there to know about Cauliflower Alley, the interviews, the news. It's going to be a whole lot of surprises, a whole lot of emotion, and there's at least a couple of times throughout the reunion that the entire room doesn't have a dry eye.
Oh, if anybody hasn't been to a Cauliflower Alley Club reunion, I highly recommend going when you get the chance. I went back in 2006 at the basically the urging of my buddy Joe, who convinced me I should go. I thought he was kidding, but I went. After that first year, I thought, I may go back again. Probably not going to be a yearly thing. I've gone every year except for 2011, and that's only because during the banquet, my wife was in labor. So she was giving birth to our son, and it was a determined fact that if I wasn't there, I should just stay in Vegas. So the one year I've missed since 2006, from the guy who was probably not going to go every year, maybe one more time. I've been every year. I enjoy it. And now we're a part of it, and we're part of the celebration. We're a part of the build-up. So I'm excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It is going to be such a blast. And, going back to Old School Hustle, the card from top to bottom, every match potentially a main event. And once again, history will be made in Fort Worth, Texas. Over the past couple of weeks, I've received a few emails and Facebook messages from friends as well as some fans of mine. Yes, I do have a fan or two, checks in the mail. Well, when am I going to return to the broadcast position as play-by-play? Because as you know, I ring announce, I do play-by-play, and as you know, Mike and myself, we promote IHWE California here on the coast. Well, at IHWE Old School Hustle on the 28th, we will be doing a live podcast there, and we will be calling a couple of matches as part of the build-up before they open the card. So I will be doing the play-by-play, and Mike and I believe Mr. Dave Fuller will be along with me doing the color commentating, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I will be making my color commentary debut on live radio. Luckily, you folks have a mute button if I sound like crap. I'm going to work on it, though. Joe and I are going to practice. He's going to give me a few pointers. Every once in a while, I do have to go back to my mentor to kind of learn how to do something. Sometimes he leaves me high and dry, as he did last weekend at the Ferndale Fairgrounds when I was asked to referee the Lucha Libre show. The man looked at me, nodded his head, and said, "You can do it. Get in there." That was the advice I got.
Now, wait a minute. And now, wait. In all fairness, brother, You know, as soon as he said that, you gave me this "what do I do" look, and I got in your. I said, "You go in the ring, they will take care of you." And sure enough, the boys took care of you, and it was a packed house. I mean, it was such a good crowd. The card from top to bottom, the 4 matches, it was good. The Battle Royal, Mike, you did good. You did good. What can I say? And I put you over huge, you know, making his professional wrestling referee debut, and they gave you a bunch of love there, boss.
I was at the bank today with my wife, and the teller looked at me and went, "I saw you. You were the referee at the wrestling show at the fairgrounds the other day." I kind of got a little proud of that. I stood up like, "Wow, yes, I was. Yeah, I'm getting recognized.
Very nice.
It's great." Anyways, we're not here to talk about ourselves all night, Joe. We got to talk a little bit about current events. Austin, I've been looking around on the news. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. What's happening in today's world of wrestling?
Wow, you know, to say that is that's definitely a broad statement, considering that especially, I don't know if you guys watched Raw this past week, but Nikki Bella has been tearing into the soul of Brie Bella. And that is, I mean, in case you didn't know, if you didn't watch Raw, she let some dirt out. I mean, frankly, made me look different on Brie Bella. I'm like, my God, did she really do this to Nikki her whole entire life? I mean, ditched her prom date and wrecked her car and blamed it on her. I mean, it's tough to be a twin.
Yeah, it's tough to be a twin. I tend to take some of that stuff with a little grain of salt, though. It is television, you know, they do have writers, but we don't know quite the whole story. Now, I did understand from what I read, I hate to say this, folks, I cannot believe I'm even saying this name. Next week on Monday Night Raw, Jerry Springer is going to host an intervention between Brie and Nikki Bella. What the hell has this world come to? I mean, seriously, Jerry Springer, come on.
Well, I think it's appropriate. I mean, at least for the situation we have at hand, with Brie Bella and Nikki kind of dishing it out, and Nikki kind of saying some things about Daniel Bryan a couple weeks ago before SummerSlam, that he's cheating on Brie Bella. And I don't know if Daniel Bryan's been watching the show lately, since he's been on the injured list with his neck. But I know when he comes back, I said this a few nights ago, we might just see a swift kick to Nikki Bella's skull in the middle of that ring when Daniel Bryan gets back, because I know Daniel Bryan knows Brie Bella, and I know Daniel Bryan knows that Brie Bella wouldn't do something like that to him, and I know as well. I mean, Brie is such a sweet girl that we know her to be, but what I've been hearing about her from Nikki's mouth has been anything but good.
Lord, from twin on twin, kicking her out of the womb, to Daniel Bryan kicking Nikki Bella in the head. It would be an effective end to the story, and I might actually cheer for it, because I'm tired of it. Like I said, I'm going to flip the channel and watch something else when Nikki Bella and Jerry Springer are on, but hey, it's sports entertainment. We know what we're getting into here, folks.
And in a couple of weeks, we're actually seeing... Oh, I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, all I'm going to say is, obviously, y'all don't hear me saying anything.
Well, I know we got to get an opinion.
I want to hear your opinion.
Right?
Okay, the Bellas, they're twins. There's my opinion.
There you go. Now, there was one piece of news that I read earlier today that, Austin, you might be able to kind of fill in the blanks on this one. From what I'm understanding now, Brock Lesnar has sort of a new deal with the WWE, where he's agreed they can use him as much as they want, but it's on a prorate basis, or it's a pay-by-appearance basis. I'm not quite sure all the details on it. But it seems like now that he's got the title, we might see a little bit more of Brock Lesnar.
Well, I mean, you got to say, Brock Lesnar, being the person that he is, being the monster beast incarnate machine that he definitely showcased to be, especially in 2014. I mean, the big wins against, Big Show within seconds, the Undertaker streak, John Cena. I mean, he's been anything. I guess that actually I'm lost of words. Brock Lesnar is just a freak of nature. He's unstoppable, and I don't see anybody beating him unless we might see in the shadows of the darkness maybe a Guardian of the Galaxy like Batista. Dave Batista might show up in the shining light and challenge Brock Lesnar within the months to come. But at Night of Champions, in a couple of weeks, he's going up against John Cena again, and I don't see John Cena with his hand held high at the end of the night. I honestly don't. And you saw Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels share the same exact opinion as me just a couple weeks ago in Raw. But what are you guys' opinion on John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, number 2 for the title at Night of Champions? Well, number 3 technically, if you want to count Extreme Rules a couple of years ago.
Well, my problem with it is at SummerSlam, we all saw John Cena get his ass handed to him for 25 minutes. He's off Raw for 1 week. Then he's back, and all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that he can kick Brock Lesnar. It's not believable. You know, he took a beating just to come back a week later, and I can kick him. It's not believable, people. I mean, John Cena, yeah, okay, he's talented. My son likes him, which is really sad. He's only 3, so I'll give him some slack there. But
easy there, Mike.
John Cena is not a great wrestler. Brock Lesnar he's a beast. He's highly talented. He's got a great amateur background. And after delivering a beating to John Cena, we're supposed to just believe that all of a sudden now John Cena can come back and whoop, he's Super Cena, and he can defeat Brock Lesnar and get the title back.
Yes,
it's not
exactly
going to happen.
If I may,
it's not going to happen.
If I may, it could happen. I mean, we've seen bigger surprises with WWE, haven't we now, guys? Now, I mean, you know, Cena could win the title, but he could, you know, be decimated in the process. And you know, who's waiting in the wings? The Money in the Bank winner there, he can cash in. Now, if I may, about, you know, Lesnar's new contract per se, it almost sounds like it's a per diem. You only get paid as you work. So WWE, because they're really taking care of their budget, they're really cutting costs and what have you. So if they're pretty much saying, well, you know, we have Lesnar, we have you at your disposal, that basically means we got to pay you every single time you show up. So, you know, is this just a way to entice fans to watch, you know, Raw and SmackDown that much more, or to see if Lesnar even shows up? We don't know, because once again, money is the factor in this. Now, as for the Cena-Lesnar match, I don't think it'll be a squash match like it was a few weeks back. But I personally don't think Cena will win the title. But then again, you know, we've all been, you know, known to guess other things. Case in point, the streak. Who saw that one coming? Yeah,
I mean, if that is an American dream, I don't know what it is. Brock Lesnar's an American dream. Getting paid every single time he does a show. Really, definitely good for him. I mean, he's definitely a blessed man. But I mean, to be the beast, there's a difference between being blessed and being a beast, right? And Brock Lesnar is definitely a beast that he's shown us to be. Definitely in 2014, really making his return as that I don't even know what to say about him. He's so insane, and we're going to see him put John Cena to the test one more time at Night of Champions in a couple of weeks. And like I said, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, Spider-Man, the Green Goblin, right? It's going to be something to see on the WWE Network in just a couple of weeks, and I'm interested. And I think the only way that John Cena can actually pick up a win over Brock Lesnar is if he actually turns into something that we never seen him, you know, really be in before. I'm not saying, he needs to let go of the nice throwing shirts to the crowd type of guy. He needs to be that person that really just gets in a different mindset that we've never seen him in before. That's the only way I see him beating him.
Well, yeah, Cena's got to step it up. He's got to be a little more aggressive. He can't go in there and he can't kiss babies and high five and throw his shirts and all that. He's got to go in there and he's got to fight. So, but we are getting close to the end of our show here, so definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. We're going to talk some more about this over the next few weeks leading up to the pay-per-view. But I want to give Brian a chance. Take us back to the days where men were men. We all smoked cigars. We sat in the front row in the smoky little auditoriums, and we watched wrestling. Brian, can you give us a little history lesson this week?
Yes, 25 years ago today, the Great Muta defeated Sting to win the held-up NWA World Television Championship in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, it was held up because of a controversial match ending on July 23rd, 89, at the Great American Bash in Baltimore. And I think one of them, either Sting or Muta, had his shoulder up when they were being pinned. So the title was held up. So, of course, they settled it. And Sting versus Muta was great, great feud. Of course, Muta was there for a short time before he headed back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. September 2nd, 1992, 22 years ago, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat defeating Stunning Steve Austin to win the WCW World Television Championship. Paulie dangerously in the steel cage above the ring. The interesting thing about the Clash of the Champions, now this was the last appearance of Andre the Giant on Pro Wrestling Television right before his passing. Also, they showed two great video montages of singles stars and tag teams. So it was really, really good. We also saw the introduction of Michael Hayes managing the tandem of Arn Anderson and beautiful Bobby Eaton. We saw the Barbarian. We saw Hacksaw Butch Reed. Sting versus Jake Roberts. Of course, Halloween Havoc was coming up. Cowboy Bill Wise was in charge at that time. So, and then, of course, September 1st, 1992, 22 years ago, in Hershey, Pennsylvania, Nature Boy Ric Flair defeats the late Macho Man Randy Savage to win the World Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight Championship with a little assistance from then Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. And Savage doing a great soul job here on the knee being hurt. And of course, for Flair, of course, it was just a short title change because Bret Hart would win the belt from him in October 12th in Canada. So lots of history going on this week.
Whatever happened to Stunning Steve Austin and Paulie Dangerously? Where'd they go? I liked them. Whatever happened? No, I'm just
Talk to Eric Bischoff. Talk to Eric Bischoff. He has a story for you.
Yeah. Of course.
Just kidding. I do remember the Clash of Champions, though. Yes. And, of course, Stunning Steve Austin, shaved his head, cracked some beer, and became the old, Stone Cold,
yep.
who we now can say is well, I guess we could say it. We both host podcasts. I guess you could say we have a colleague. We're colleagues of Stone Cold Steve Austin, although he probably doesn't have a clue who we are. Anyway.
Nice.
I do remember the Clash of Champions, though. That was the one where it was like 30 years or 25 years of wrestling on TBS.
20-some years, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, and Andre the Giant made the appearance. I remember that show. I actually have all before the network posted them up on their show, I actually have all the clashes on VHS and on DVD. So the old recorded right off of TBS with all the grainy and the cracks because video quality back then was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
But,
yeah, Brian Steele's talking about tape trading days. Oh, yeah, that brings back memories and just salivating for Japanese wrestling. And Benoit and Guerrero showing their stuff in New Japan and in AAA in Mexico, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a great time to be a fan. And, of course, we're all wowing about ECW on the rise and Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Tape trading was awesome.
Oh, good stuff, especially the Japan stuff. A couple of matches that come to mind was Hogan and Seiji Sakaguchi against Bad News Allen and Abdullah the Butcher. I mean, how cool does that get?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
All right, guys. Well, as always, I enjoy my time here with you folks, but we are coming to an end for tonight's show. So we're going to do our usual. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Encyclopedia World Class. You can find me on Twitter at MichaelMC1972. And coming soon, Joe and I will be on YouTube with IHWE California Presents, where we're going to talk a little bit about California wrestling history. So you can see our two lovely domes right there on YouTube. It will be a part of the IHWE channel, so you will find us on there soon. Looking forward to that. Joe, if anybody wants to talk to you, where can they find you on social media?
Oh, they could find me at Facebook. You just go to Facebook, punch in my name. That's JOESOUSA, and I'm the one surrounded by 3 kids, or the profile shot of me in a tuxedo. Friend me or send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you about wrestling. Sports entertainment, I might tolerate that, but pro wrestling, that's my heart and soul right there. Besides my family, my wrestling family and my shoot family.
Austin, I am in the process. I am going to create the phenomenal Austin James Facebook page because I think it needs to be done. But until I get off my ass and get that job done, where can we find you on social media? Because you're almost kind of like David. You're everywhere.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. Actually, I'm also in space, with the aliens and all the mythical creatures there. But, I mean, you can actually follow me not only on Twitter at @the_Austin James. Follow me the same name tag on Instagram, and follow me on, well, you can't follow me on Facebook. You can add me as a friend if you don't have any. At Austin Porsche, not like the car, it's actually spelled differently. Porche, and I have beautiful hair. You can see it right in the profile picture. It's the first thing you notice. Usually everybody tells me that.
It is nice.
I take it.
I like it. It is nice.
I know, me too. The mirror tells me that every
I'm a
time
little
I
jealous,
wake up.
though. I have none.
I know.
So I'm a little jealous. Now, they can also find you, though, every Tuesday night, or listen to you, actually, every Tuesday night, on a partner show of ours, Pipe Bomb Radio. You and Felix Salamito, great show. I listened to your interview with Kamala just the other day. Now, who is your guest for next week? Because I unfortunately don't have my notes in front of me.
Well, actually, it's pretty interesting because it kind of compares to who you actually had on last week at the end of the show, Roxy Astor. But this time we're actually having on a former Glow legend in herself, Little Egypt, who's going to be on Pipe Bomb Radio next week. With the whole entire Glow After part, the Glow, what is it called? I know the name of it. It's called the Afterglow. I believe they've reached their goal. Yeah, I believe they've reached their goal.
They exceeded their goal.
It, right?
Cool.
Yeah. Conquered it and did it again like Brock Lesnar, right? And
yes.
I think it's going to be such a great thing and such a great party that I won't be able to go to. And I know, Michael, you live like 12 hours away from the actual shindig in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it. But I did make my donation, so I get a DVD of everything. So it'll be as close as I can get to it. But I'll see the Glow girls at Cauliflower Alley. So I always get a chance to talk with Little Egypt. So tell her I said hello. And if you don't mind, you can invite her to come on to IHWE Radio. We would love to talk with her.
Most definitely, yeah.
And Brian, where can they find you on social media? Oh, yes, Joe. Sorry.
Oh no! Real quick. After Brian gives us a plug, you got to plug Mr. Ivan Koloff.
Yes, we do.
Oh yes,
Brian.
So they could find me on Facebook, Brian Brian Westcott, WESTCOTT. I am also got my own wrestling website at www.brianrich.net/wrestle.html, and you can find out all of the title histories on all your favorite wrestlers. And yes, definitely Ivan Koloff, Kickstarter, to do his video, do his biography for the documentary Michael Elliott is working on.
Yes, Elbow Productions, Michael Elliott, Kickstarter.com, just search for Ivan Koloff. I checked it earlier today. They are $761 away from their goal, and they have until September 11th. So they've got about 8 more days. So, people, that is less than $100 a day. Go to Kickstarter, search for Ivan Koloff, get her done. I'm sorry, I'm going Larry the Cable Guy. Get her done. Make a donation. Let's make this movie happen. I have been a big fan of Michael Elliott's work. Rock and Roll Express documentary, the Jim Crockett promotions, great stuff. Looking forward to an Ivan Koloff documentary. And I want my autographed USSR flag. I don't get that if we don't exceed the donation. He's only $761 away, people. We are a big supporter of Elbow Productions. Kickstarter.com. Search for Ivan Koloff. Make a donation. Let's get this movie made.
And guys, you won't like Michael McCurdy when he's angry.
I get big, green, and ugly. And my pants will tear, too, but they don't turn back to normal when I go back, so it's kind of, yeah.
Say goodnight, Mike.
Good night, Gracie. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this episode of IHWE Professional Wrestling Radio. Next week, we are going to be joined by Global Wrestling Federation star, Texas wrestling star, Chaz. Brian, I want you to do me a favor. I want to get a little history segment. Go back in time, get me some details about the bungee cord match. Because we're going to talk about the bungee cord match. If you have not seen the bungee cord match, people, go ahead, look it up on YouTube, watch this, because I want to get the details of the bungee cord match,
too.
as well as other highlights of Chaz's career. He's a great guy. I enjoyed watching him. He's wrestled the Lightning Kid, Jerry Lynn, JBL before he was JBL. He's wrestled with the Ebony Experience, who we now know as Booker T and Stevie Ray. The man has been in the ring with a lot of great names. He's got a great career. Looking forward to talking to him. And also, next week, Austin, it's your turn to take the lead. We are going to be joined by the one and only Kyle O'Reilly. Austin will be taking the lead on that interview. He's looking forward to it, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot of hard-hitting questions for Kyle and help promote Old School.
I just have to say this for people, like one quick thing. Kyle O'Reilly, in my opinion, and I've said this numerous times over the past weeks, he is the best wrestler in the world today. I mean, currently, just in the world, and if anybody has seen him wrestle, you will see exactly what I'm talking about in every single sense of the imagination.
And every time Austin says that, Kyle O'Reilly donates $1 to the Austin James Scholarship Fund. So Austin can become a wrestler. Exactly.
Keep on telling.
So anyways, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and I hope to have you all back next week to hear some more fascinating tales from my lovely team here. I said lovely, yes I did. I'm comfortable with my sexuality, and I can say lovely. Thank you very much. Please go out, watch some wrestling, and please join us next week on IHWE Radio. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.